May 31st, 2025. Paris Saint-Germain finally did it. Not just winning the Champions League, not just ending years of failure, but doing it by rewriting what it means to be PSG. They didn't need Mbappe, they didn't need Messi, they did not need Neymar. They needed a team, and at the center of that team, in the biggest game in their club history, was a 19-year-old named Désiré Doué. 2 goals and 1 assist in the 5-0 Champions League final. The youngest player to ever do that at this level, and his name in French literally means gifted. And gifted the boy is. But this isn't a fairy tale. This is a football evolution. Today, we dive into the rise of Désiré Doué, how a teenager from Angers became the face of Paris Saint-Germain's revolution, from a raw talent to European conqueror. This is the story of how Doué changed everything. Born on June 3rd, 2005, Désiré Doué was never just another football kid with a dream. Rennes broke their own rulebook to sign him. The club usually refused to take players under the age of 9, but for Doué, they made the exception at 5 years old. They'd already brought in his older brother, Enrique Doué, but even then, the coaches could see it. This younger sibling had something else: balance, intelligence, and above all, control. Control of the ball, control of the moment. By 17, Doué became the youngest French player to score in European competition, netting in the Europa League just weeks after making his Ligue 1 debut. The first player in 2005 to score in one of Europe's top 5 big leagues, Rennes locked him down immediately with a new contract, but by then, Europe had already taken notice. Man United, Spurs, Barcelona, even Bayern Munich. But when Paris Saint-Germain came calling in the summer of 2024, fresh off losing Mbappe to Real Madrid, Doué didn't hesitate. A dream come true, he called it. Not just to join PSG, but to reunite with his under-17 Euro teammate in Warren Zaïre-Emery, the 2 crowned European champions together in 2022. It wasn't just a transfer, it was a symbolic move. Paris Saint-Germain were replacing a superstar with another headline name. They were investing in the future, a future that, whether anyone realized it or not, was already ready to lead. On the 17th of August, PSG finally secured their man by signing Désiré Doué from Rennes up to the tune of 50 million euros. But he wasn't expected to lead straight away. He was expected to learn, rotate, adapt. But over the course of the season, he didn't just adapt, he exploded. In all competitions for the 24-25 season, he made 54 appearances, scoring 15 goals, getting 16 assists, a Ligue 1 title, a Coupe de France, a Trophy de Champions, and most importantly, a Champions League winning medal with 5 goals and 4 assists in Europe's biggest competition, where he announced himself by securing the Man of the Match award at 19 years old. What makes Doué stand out isn't just the raw output, it's how often he impacts the game, minute by minute. According to FBref stats, he's getting around 0.64 goals plus assists per 90, placing him in the 75th percentile among all attacking midfield players and wingers. He has 0.36 expected assists per 90, which puts him in the 94th percentiles in Europe's top 5 leagues. 5.2 shot creating actions per 90 puts him in the 89th percentile, and he's getting 1.01 goal creating actions per 90, putting him in the 99th percentile. These aren't just good numbers, these are elite. Doué is a space manipulator. He's averaging around 5.5 aggressive carries per 90, and he attempts 7 take-ons per game, succeeding in over 42% of them. He's not just flashy, he's efficient with his dribbles. He's functional. He carries his team and drives them up the field. He pushes them up those yards. He receives under great pressure, creating space for his teammates. And he's become that perfect weapon for Paris Saint-Germain to break opposition structures and defensive shapes. But do not mistake this kid for just a soloist. He completes 44.78 passes per 90 with an accuracy of 82%, ranking in the 94th percentile for volume. 2.58 key passes per game puts him at the 93rd percentile, and he's one of the most advanced progressors in his role. Over 7 progressive passes per 90 and nearly 11 progressive passes received. He's not just making plays, he's constantly in involved in every single aspect. But if you think he's all flash and skills, you got this guy wrong, because he does not switch off when he's off the ball, making 2.5 tackles per 90, 1.24 dribblers tackle per 90, and he gets around 1.35 blocks, 0.67 interceptions, and 3.18 combined tackles and interceptions. They're not padded numbers. They reflect what Enrique demands, especially if he wants to use all this star talent in his lineup. Attackers who must defend like midfielders, and midfielders who must play like creators. When you lay this all out, the goals, the carries, the pressing, the passing, you're starting to see the full picture, right? Doue isn't just Paris Saint-Germain's breakout player, he's statistically the engine for one of Europe's most dominant teams. And at 19 years old, this guy is only getting started. There's something about watching Doué's game that you can't just quantify at first, but he doesn't explode like a sprinter, he doesn't glide like a traditional winger, but somehow he's always shifting the pitch in his direction. And it starts with the way he receives the ball, whether on the right side, tucked inside, or out wide on the left. He lets the ball roll into his body. He sets himself up with his weaker foot so he can attack with his stronger one. It's subtle, but that balance lets him open up angles, face the defender, and stay in full control of the situation. In 1v1s, he's not just trying to beat you, he's trying to dictate you. Small, rapid touches, slight body feints, the diagonal dribble inside. He forces his marker to backpedal and then makes a decision, either to cut inside, shift that wide, lay it off to a teammate, or just break you entirely. It's not Neymar level flair, but it is Neymar level chaos. What really separates Doué is his footwork in traffic, in tight areas, inside the box, near the touchline, surrounded by 2, 3, or even more players. He can still slip through. His use of both feet, his ability to shield with his frame, and his control over tempo let him carve out space where there shouldn't be any. It's not flawless, but it feels like it could become that, right? Doué can suffer occasionally from tunnel vision, maybe overplaying a little bit inside, maybe his head's down a bit too much because he's dreaming about that Hollywood moment. And that's the exciting thing to know, that there's even more to come from Doué as he matures and as he gets older. That's why with some of his decision making in the final third, a bit more refinement is normal. He'll hold the ball up a second too long at times, or maybe force the shot or miss the obvious pass. His pass completion is only around 74%, lower than someone with this type of involvement. However, he can definitely improve those predatory skills, especially with his ball striking ability and his ability to create the separation before he takes a shot. But the key thing is, his game scales. He's moldable, intelligent, and fearless. Every month this season, his game has matured, his development has accelerated. There's been more vertical runs, more assertive transitions, better combinations in tight triangles. Those raw traits are already special, but now the upside is starting to look absolutely terrifying. To understand why Désiré Doué has flourished this season, you have to understand the machine around him, because this isn't the Paris Saint-Germain of old. This is Luis Enrique's treble-winning Paris Saint-Germain, a team built on systems, sacrifice, and synchronized chaos. When Mbappe left in the summer of 2024, it felt like a void to Paris Saint-Germain. But for Enrique, this was liberation. No more one-man attacks, no more compromised pressing shape. Now he could build a team that started to play like one. PSG typically start in a 4-3-3, but it quickly morphs in possession to a 3-2-5. Mendes or Hakimi push high. Coutinho drops deep, and that front five, including Doué, rotate relentlessly. The goal, flood zones, create overloads, and move the ball with tempo. But it's off the ball where the real change starts to take life. This PSG team doesn't drop deep. They hunt teams down, they press in packs, they suffocate passing lanes, and rely on forwards to finally start acting as the first defenders. Doué, despite being 19, thrived in this. He didn't just press, he intercepted. He shaped his body to block passing angles, he recovered, he tackled, and when he won the ball high, Enrique doesn't want to carry luxury wingers. He wants multi-tools. Someone who can carry, combine, create, press, and recover. Someone who values control as much as flair. And Doué is built for that role. He's ambidextrous, has spatial awareness, and his balance allow him to thrive in PSG's positional rotations. Whether he starts wide or drifts inside, the system gives him structure, and he repays that with fluidity. Could this have worked under Pochettino or Gautier or even Tuchel? Maybe not, but in those systems, wingers were fireworks, and in this one, they're gears. And Doue, he's that gear that makes everything tick. And this led to his coming-of-age moment on the 31st of May, the Champions League final, a stage built for legends. In the Allianz Arena, all eyes were on Paris Saint-Germain, but a teenager stole the show. Désiré Doué, just 19. On that night, he did not just arrive, he announced himself to the world. Milan, with all their experience, did not stand a chance. In the 5-0 destruction of Inter, Doué started on the right, but that barely tells the full story because he drifted inside. He rotated left, he dropped deep to receive and pulled defenders into no man's land, and then he struck. He forced the first goal by taking his shot early, deflecting off the marker. And for his second goal, he scored the goal of the night, finishing the move of the game by slotting the ball bottom right corner against Yam Sommer. Doué's game was more than the goals though, and the assists, because Doué was everywhere. He finished the game with 87% pass accuracy, 3 progressive carries, 2 tackles, and 2 interceptions. Every time Inter tried to build down the right, he tracked back. Every time PSG needed him as the outball, he was there. It really was a complete performance from a teenager in a final. Doué became something that Paris Saint-Germain have been chasing now ready to lead. For years, PSG were the warning. Big names, bigger egos, no Champions League. Now they're starting to look like the blueprint. They said au revoir Mbappe, and they let the superstar model die. They built something better, a team, a pressing unit, a modern, selfless, ruthless collective built on youthfulness. Doué's, Neves, Barcola. Enrique did not need icons. He needed intensity, discipline, and quality. And after their famous win against Inter Milan, big clubs will now think, you're watching PSG and asking yourself, are we building for names or for systems now? Because this seems like the new gold standard. And right in the middle of it is a teenager named Désiré Doué. Doué means gifted in French. Well, now, my friends, the whole world knows exactly why.